Let's see why Arabs keep losing and why Palestine doesn't exist.
Gentlemen, female gentlemen, welcome to another lore video here on the Nuxtaku channel. Every day we do lore, every single day, all of the days we get lore. And today, as requested by the chat, we did a poll, it was voted for, this is what we're doing. All right, why Arabs keep losing wars? All right, and a lot of people in chat are gonna be like, oh, they don't know. They don't know why, all right? Now, my guess is, because after 1,400 years of inbreeding, they have the dumbest populations on the planet, and suspiciously enough, all right, think about it just for a second. You got 10 million Jews, all right, living in the Middle East, all right, 10 million Jews surrounded by 2 billion Arabs, 2 billion Arabs, and they can't win. I'm just saying, I'm just noticing something, all right? At 80 IQ guys, 2 billion of them surrounding 10 million guys with an average IQ of like, I don't know, 100 plus. And then, and I'm just noticing 110, right? And I'm noticing that despite the drastic number difference, all right. Anyway, I'm kidding. All right, let's see what the actual historians have to say. Not a retard like me.
Why do Arabs always lose wars against the West?
Fantastic question.
It's an interesting question, but is it?
I mean, to be fair, they are winning. They are winning this one in Europe, and by this one I mean a lot of European countries are retarded enough to just let them in for free, infinite of them.
Fair one. Do Arab and Islamic countries routinely lose wars against Western powers?
Yeah.
The answer? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Today we can look at Iran versus Israel. Iran has...
Oh, this is so sad.
90 million people, almost 10 times more than Israel.
Yeah, and Israel took out the entire Iranian leadership and all of their ballistic missiles. That's insane.
And Iran's active army is over 3 times larger, not including its proxies. Yet they haven't been that impressive. Hundreds of missiles do minimal damage. Their allies...
Look, I'm not gonna lie. This was like radicalizing as shit. I was in Israel during the Iran conflict. I was in Israel at the time, and I remember, they're shooting missiles, and everyone runs into their bunkers, and, just in case, and, thank God most of the missiles are just swatted out of the air. But that's crazy. That's insane.
Only escape...
They're not Arab? Well, the Islamic regime is Islamic.
Death by hiding in tunnels, and even then, not successfully. Their dying leaders throw sticks at high-tech Israeli drones and lose their hands to Israeli-made pagers. Arab nations have failed at defeating Israel since the day it became a nation.
Yeah, that's like people talk about like the Crusades, and it's like, yeah, obviously the Crusades were a massive victory against Islam. But the craziest thing is, and I think this is the wildest part, it's the fact that there's 2 billion of them versus 10 million Jews.
And they've been trying
for 70 years. Oh my God. It's almost like Allah wants them to lose the wars, I would say.
They've also fallen to the Americans, the British, and the French. In fact, the last time an Arab army won a decisive war against the West was the Battle of Hattin, when Saladin defeated the Christian Crusaders and conquered Jerusalem. That was in 1187 AD. So what's going on?
Wait, they haven't won a war since 1187? Oh my fucking God. Sorry, I shouldn't laugh. I'm so sorry for you guys. That's wild. Oh my God, they haven't won a war in 1,000 years. Oh
Why you think?
Hey, I'm Ken LaCour.
Them niggas don't want
I do
no
my
smoke.
best to research elephants and runes and give you straightforward, sometimes unpopular answers. Here, I dug into the cultural issues that make it hard to win.
That's not true. They won wars against each other. Shut the fuck up. It doesn't debunk my point. All right, now you have 2 cultures with equal IQ that are clashing. Okay, so that can be different.
In wars, and while I'm not really focusing on economics, those issues certainly affect economies and industrialization as well. I mean, you've probably never seen a car.
That's the worst KD I've ever seen. I can't get over that. I cannot get over that. These people have been warring people
Since
for
1100.
1,000 years. They haven't won a war.
Car made in an Arab country, or a plane, or a computer, or really anything much besides food and clothing. The harsh truth is that the region is a bit of an industrial wasteland.
Not beating the low IQ debate. That's rough, buddy. That's rough.
For many of the same reasons that cause their military failures. We'll look at fundamental issues such as trust and loyalty in fragmented societies, their tendency towards centralization and rigid hierarchy, some broader cultural issues, and finally a look at how Islam itself may affect it all. It's even...
I know how it affects it all. They all fuck their cousins and produce retards on an industrial scale for 1,400 years. Look, I'm really not trying to be controversial here when I say it, but like, Like, I'm being frank. I'm being factual, okay? Just think about it. Think about it.
More interesting when we look at history, because it's tempting to look at the Mideast and think that they've always been a bit backwards in so many ways. And that's just dead wrong. The Islamic Golden Age of the 8th century to the 13th century was a powerhouse of scientific and military might.
Yeah.
While Europe stumbled through the Dark Ages, the Arab world was rocking. Muslim doctors were performing advanced surgeries like removing cataracts and treating kidney stones, while Europeans were still using leeches.
Yeah.
And their military was powerful too. They conquered lands from Spain to India, built the world's largest empire.
Remember, this is before the 1400
This is
years of
before
inbreeding.
Islam, I bet.
And held it
Or
for
before,
centuries.
yeah.
But empires rise and fall. The Arab world's decline began around the 13th century. Mongol invasions didn't help. The Black Death wiped out big chunks of the population, and political fragmentation weakened once powerful countries. Meanwhile, Europe and the West emerged with the Renaissance and later the Industrial Revolution. And by the 1800s, the tables had turned. Western powers carved up the Middle East, drawing borders that are still causing conflicts today. Now, the region barely contributes at all to the scientific world. They're consumers, not creators.
Yeah.
Some countries sit on oil,
Yeah.
and most that don't have much of an economy. But the rich...
It's like God gave them oil to put them on even playing field somewhat. Not trying to be rude here. This is not fair. I don't want to be rude here. I'm just saying, like, just want to be real.
richer ones have some of the world's largest military budgets. So it's more than about money or intelligence. It's about culture, politics, and societal structures.
I agree. Some cultures are inferior. I agree.
Don't work like they
agree.
should. But before we jump in, it's good to be cautious about cultural comparisons. It's easy to be like, we're great, they're not.
True.
It is easy.
True.
It's very easy.
We are. They're not. Facts. Bro spitting. Oh, I forgot. This is the Nux Taku channel. What I meant to say is everything is relative. Right? On the Nux Taku channel, we are not controversial. We learn here. We're a lore channel.
And history is littered with leaders who screwed up by misreading other cultures. Hitler thought America was a mongrel country that'd be a pushover.
Hitler was wrong. And Hitler was a gaytheist. Okay? And Hitler killed himself, allegedly.
The United States didn't understand the resilience of the Vietnamese or Afghans and got bogged down in endless wars.
True.
Putin figured Ukraine was a joke run by drug addicts and then got stuck in a meat grinder.
I mean, to be fair, Putin, Ukraine is run by drug addicts. But there are drug addicts, goddammit!
So we need to be careful, but we also can't ignore reality. Now, Arab countries do pretty well with insurgencies and guerrilla warfare.
Yeah, they're really good at
T.E.
that.
Lawrence,
It's almost like they're very violent people. Another side effect of inbreeding.
Lawrence of Arabia,
Weird.
called it winning wars without battles.
They get that
but when
from
it comes to
Muhammad.
battles and full warfare, they have problems. And the first part of their culture to look
You
at
know, you need 80 IQ in order to be able to do, like, basic, like, follow basic orders. Like, just basic ability to receive and operate and follow orders. Actually, you need, like, a baseline of at least 80 IQ. So that means, like, on average, about half of them can't. Or is it 82 IQ? Yeah, maybe. I'm just being real.
is trust and loyalty. Who are Arabs loyal to? Who are their soldiers really loyal to?
A lot.
Trust and loyalty issues plague Arab armies, hurting their effectiveness from top to bottom. It's a problem that starts with rulers who are afraid of their own military, and it trickles all the way down to soldiers not trusting their officers. For Americans or people in most of the world, their primary loyalty to their country is a given. But it's more complicated in the Mideast. For many, tribal and religious loyalties come first. They're bonds based on shared ancestry,
Shared ancestry, you say? How does that happen?
traditions, and support systems that have existed for centuries. Those ties can be much stronger than national identities, which are relatively new in some Arab countries. This often starts at the very top. Rulers stack key military positions with members of their own sect or tribe. In Syria, the Alawite minority controls the military. In Jordan, it's the East Bankers. In Iraq under Saddam, it was the Sunnis. And that tribalism and family ties can lead to the exact opposite of a meritocracy, putting less competent people in critical positions. Because authoritarian leaders fear their armies as much as they rely on them. They know military coups are a real threat. It's how many of them came to power. So they use divide and conquer strategies, create competing units and agencies to keep everyone off.
So you mean to tell me that these guys are actually cucking their own armies because they're afraid to get overthrown, and then they wonder why their armies aren't super competent? That's
Wow.
crazy.
balance a little bit. Those strategies wreak havoc on efficiency. And paranoia leads to some bizarre practices. In many Arab countries, basic military information, stuff the United States publishes routinely, it's treated like top secrets. Unit designations, names of commanders, even routine promotions and transfers are classified. It's not just about keeping
Bro, I
secrets
didn't
from
know
the
that.
enemies, it's about keeping secrets from each other so that different parts of the military stay in the dark.
Oh
That
my
culture
God.
of
That's
distrust extends
weird.
beyond their borders, and Arab armies rarely train
That's
together or share
crazy.
information. And it trickles right down to the unit level. I mean, if infantry doesn't trust that the artillery will give covering fire, they're not going to advance. This also encourages information hoarding.
If this is their strategy, then it's quite easy to defeat them, bro. And I'm not no fucking war general. I'm not no fucking warlord. I didn't read no books on this shit, but if what he's saying is true, and these people do not communicate with each other properly in the military, then wouldn't it be easy to fucking like EMP them where they can't have communication with each other, and then they'll just be sitting ducks? Like, isn't that, wouldn't they just be sitting ducks at that point if we EMP them and they have no communication with each other? And since they already didn't have communication with each other, they will not have plans for the fucking attack. So it's like, bro, these people are, this shit is easy pickings.
Where knowledge is power. And in Arab military culture, you don't share power. Technicians treat their expertise like closely guarded secrets. It ensures they keep their job, but it also creates information silos where cross-training rarely happens.
That's so weird.
Units
I never
might
knew
know
this.
their specific jobs, but they
So they literally would keep them in the dark so they don't work together to overthrow the governments. Holy shit. Like,
Shit
no
is
honor
stupid.
among thieves, I guess.
can't fill in for each other if someone's hit. It
Bro, these
creates
guys
a
are garbage.
fragile system with no depth. One foreign military trainer told a story of carefully creating Arabic manuals for tanks, only to have the officers immediately confiscate them, pretending that the soldiers couldn't read. But that wasn't it. They just didn't want soldiers to have independent sources
Oh
of
my
knowledge. Those
god! They would make sure their soldiers were too retarded to do a coup. And
That
then
is
they'd
insane.
not successfully be able to win any wars, suspiciously. Oh my god, I had no idea.
It makes
helped
sense.
create an
It makes sense why their
over-reliance on
military.
centralization and
Now it makes sense why they haven't won a war since fucking 1180. That is insanity, bro. These people haven't won a war since Jesus Christ. Holy shit.
hierarchy as well that defines Arab militaries. Orders come from the top with minimal flexibility. Junior officers don't make decisions, they follow orders. This creates a bizarre situation where a sergeant in the US military often has more real authority than an Arab colonel. Minor decisions get kicked all the way up to the top brass, slowing things to a halt. The class divide between officers and enlisted men is serious, and Arab officers routinely treat their own soldiers like crap. After Iraq's defeat in 1991, prisoners of war showed shocking levels of hatred towards their own officers. A divide between officers and grunts exists in every army, but Western militaries fill that with NCOs, non-commissioned officers, who've risen up through the ranks of the enlisted men. They come from the barracks, not the academy, and they're key trainers to bridge the gap between officers and enlisted men. It's an important link missing in Arab armies. But the issues go far beyond military org charts. Broader issues affect the military as well,
All right,
like
here we
the
go.
education system. In most
Okay, I don't
IQs,
wanna,
brother.
I don't want to notice, okay? I don't want to, like, notice here, but I'm noticing that, like, 90% of their issues is that they're retarded and stupid. Like,
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty
They
much.
specifically don't give them information, and they specifically make sure the chain of command is gay, and then they like, you know, they don't educate them, and like I'm just
Literally
noticing that like
It's literally that.
90% of the things that he's talking about so far is just they dumb.
And you can't blame them, bro. These people believe in Muhammad. So it's like, if they educate their people too much, they're gonna fucking leave Islam. So they gotta keep these people dumb enough in order to follow Islam, but also keep them smart enough in order to defend and fight. It's impossible. you you can't make a person believe a pedophile is your prophet and have them competent enough to load guns and fucking kill people in battle. I'm sorry, I don't think that's gonna happen.
Arab countries, schools prioritize rote memorization instead of critical thinking. Students
Yeah, because they want them to worship
I
a
said
false
it.
prophet. It's
I
because they
said
want
it.
them to worship a false prophet and they don't want them to ask questions.
I literally just said that. But I bet you the typical Arab wouldn't have been able to pick that up out there.
I'm just saying.
spend years cramming facts into their heads, then regurgitating them on exams. Questioning the teacher, exploring alternative solutions, that's just not popular. That
No way, bro. Stop.
Can't question
same
nobody.
attitude comes into the military as well, where conformity rules. Innovation, initiative, no. As one military observer put it, the nail that stands up gets hammered down.
Bro.
Officers focus on being seen
That's
as
brutal.
industrious, loyal, and compliant. Rocking the boat is a career killer. This aversion to standing out has serious consequences. In training exercises, junior officers will sometimes deliberately underperform to avoid outshining their bosses. Mistakes are covered up rather than used as learning opportunities.
That's
When
pathetic.
things go wrong,
I love it.
the default
Keep it like
response
that,
is to
bro.
blame
Keep it
equipment,
this way,
outsiders,
please.
or even pretend it didn't happen. Anything
They have too much pride. Oh, it was the equipment, of course.
but acknowledging a potential failure.
Oh my
It ties into
God,
the high value Arab cultures place on saving face and maintaining honor. I learned this firsthand in Gaza years back when some of my colleagues were kidnapped and I was sent in to help. We had a number of local guards protecting me and one other colleague, and I went on a security tour of our small hotel. We came to one spot where it was super easy for someone to sneak in, and I was told that there was always a guard station there. But there wasn't a guard. And it was a bizarre conversation. I was trying to make sure it wouldn't be left unguarded again.
Right.
And they pretended it hadn't happened at all
Because they didn't want to sound like they fucked up.
because they weren't accustomed to admitting a problem out loud.
No
In
shot.
warfare,
This
It
is a real
sounds-
It's a recipe for
culture.
disaster.
It literally sounds like their fucking religion, bro. These people literally, yo, bro, no wonder why they can't take facts. They can't understand it because they was raised to fucking never, don't question, don't ask questions, bro. This is crazy.
Progress comes from failure, critiques, and then problem solving. Changing
I'm
this
shocked,
isn't just
bro.
about military reforms, though. It would take a fundamental shift in the wider social and religious culture. And that's a tall order. I've left talking about religion until
All right,
the
here
end
we go.
because it's complicated.
I'm ready.
Maybe too complicated to really untangle from a culture.
All right, don't worry, I can explain. They fucked their cousins. All right, I got you.
I mean,
Facts.
Islam is really the defining feature of these countries I'm talking about, and it's fully integrated into their culture and their daily lives. Now, does that come from the text of the Quran, or does
Yes.
the culture determine how it reacts to the faith?
No.
I find it best to visualize religion and culture as threads in an intertwined rope. After 1,400 years of coexistence, it's impossible to really separate them. Even the concept of fatalism is thought to be enmeshed in Islam. The phrase, inshallah, if God wills it, that can breed a sense of resignation, a why bother attitude that's the opposite of taking charge and getting things done. But it's also used by
Bro, they've been suicide bombing for 1,400 years. I'm not trying to be rude here, and not every Muslim does this kind of thing. I'm just noticing that over the last 1,400 years, the idea of dying for your God to kill the infidel is viewed as a noble thing. All right? And,
They teach their kids this,
and
bro.
The reward for that is
They literally teach their kids this, bro. They indoctrinate it into them as a kid. So, like I said, I can't blame these fucking people for being born into a religion that is so strict and their whole government is so strict that they can't question it. And they've been fucking indoctrinated to believe that if they die for their God or they die for their religion, they become a martyr. And a martyr is bigger than anything to them.
infinite sex with children in heaven. All right. I'm being real here. I'm not trying to be controversial. Like, that is literally the reward. The reward for blowing yourself up to kill some infidels is infinite sex with children in heaven. All right. Are we on the same
Insane.
page? All right. So essentially, inshallah, it's a pretty diabolical culture in certain regards.
non-religious Arabs, and it really predates Islam. I was in Iraq for a bit during the Second Gulf War, and I talked to a young American soldier who was training Iraqis to take over. He said that time and time again, their soldiers would literally hold their rifles above their head to shoot. Their belief was that God would guide those bullets.
It's natural selection, my brother. Natural selection. It's like Jesus Christ is playing games with these niggas. They're like, yeah, Allah. Inshallah. Shoot that shit straight up, my boy.
Mean to tell me that they keep losing wars, but they're just shooting their bullets into the sky? Fascinating.
So it really didn't matter if they aimed their guns at all. That's not great soldiering. The last point
No,
about
it's a great idea. Yeah, keep doing it. It's working.
It's excellent. Keep it going.
It's gonna keep one of these days. It's
One of
gonna be
these days
great.
you're gonna win.
religion is to look at
Just
the more
keep it up.
westernized concept of separating church and state. Along with systems of checks and balances within governments, it helps create an environment where different institutions can challenge each other, and where regular people
I love that this dude is trying to make believe that separation of church and state is important because of this. No, you just need your religion to not be. What's the nice way to say this? Not like that. All right.
It's that simple. You need to find a way to be able to separate church and state. No, you need to be able to keep church and state together, but fucking tweak your religion to the point that it's not. It's something that is not horrific, where you sleeping with each other's cousins and shit like. Come on, bro.
All right. I'm just being real here. Not all religions
Fix
are the
your religion.
same. Okay? Let's just be frank for a second. All right? I don't know a single Jew or Christian soldier in either the Israeli army, the American army, like that shoots their guns into the sky and says God will guide the bullets. Because, a pretty fundamental idea in the Bible is that you have free will. All right? God gives you the ability to choose. Sure, God should help you, but just shooting your bullets into the sky and saying God will guide the bullets, that's for like
Retards.
80 IQ goat fuckers that live somewhere else on the planet. Okay, that's not what we do. God helps those that help themselves. You know what I'm saying?
can challenge those in
Exactly.
charge. That's how social progress happens. But when a single authority controls both religious and political power, it can be difficult, sometimes impossible, to challenge those norms and the powers that run the place.
Yeah, I disagree. I don't think it's a matter of church and state. I think it depends on what the church is, and if this church.
That's exactly the point. Yep. That separation of church and state shit doesn't work, bro. Like, there's still gonna be retards trying to run the state that's believing in the same shit that they shouldn't be believing in the first place. What they really need to do is throw that Quran in the trash and follow the good Bible and or the Quran. Because those are the original books, not the one that Muhammad gave them. Fucking pedophile prophet.
Church specifically, has a very different code than, let's say, our church here in America, then, I think that'll cause the difference. I don't even think it's a separation of church and state. I just think their religion is
Trash.
different than ours.
That stagnates growth, and it stagnates the improvement of a civilization. And as we've seen time after time, civilizations that have their acts together are a lot more likely to win wars. That came into play in World War II, where on so many levels, Germany was an industrious, advanced society. But it also had fatal flaws. To understand how both of those could be true, I read a fascinating book called Ordinary Men, which looked at one battalion of regular guys who were transformed into the worst mass murderers you could imagine. I turned it into this video that raises the question, would you and I have become good Nazis?
All right, well, maybe in the next one. But yeah, anywho, for this one, thanks so much for being here. I enjoyed. I hope you did. This is another lore dive. Honestly, I really appreciate that I'm able to do this and that you guys are along with me on the ride. Here on the Nuxtaku channel, every day we do new lore, and it increases my information to be a radical asshole on the Nuxanor channel. In my opinion, it's an incredibly potent combination of I learn about retards on this channel, and then I make fun of the retards on the other channel. It really is, I thank God for giving me the ability to make fun of retards effectively. And thank you for being here. Thanks for being here. See you in the next one. Definitely subscribe. Why do Arabs keep losing wars? They dumb. Like, subscribe.
They dumb, pretty much.